Hello and welcome to Bloom. My name is Deepak Khemani and I am a co-founder of Bloom. I, along with Payal Irani and Premraj, welcome you to this session today. A round table on deeper employee engagement. Let me introduce Mr. Premraj, who will be the host today and will be conducting this round table. Premraj is a futurist. He speaks on employee engagement and management. He is the author of now 4 best-selling books, co-author, which have been released. One of them has been released just yesterday. Congratulations, Premraj, on the release of your 4th book.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepak.
Yes. Premraj has worked in the employer engagement space for the past 37 years. He was in the financial services space as in both PSU and private banks. He was also the manager of the CE. He was also, I'm so sorry today, I'm excited, I don't know why. Premraj was the CEO of the BPO arm of a major private sector bank. He has had one session previously along with Bloom on employee engagement. Today is part 2. I hand it over to him. He will introduce our guests today and take the session forward. Over to you, Premraj.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you for that very kind introduction. We have on the panel 3 very accomplished HR professionals. So let me give a brief introduction of them. First is Anupam Singh. She's with Motherson Group. Anupam's experience spans a range of industry sectors that includes automotive, manufacturing, and engineering services. Throughout her career, she has managed all HR functions from strategic to organizational restructuring. She's passionate about public speaking and is often found speaking at colleges and conferences. She has been conferred with Women HR Professional Award, Best Employee Engagement, CSR Strategy Award, and CEO Appreciation Award. She has multiple years of experience in handling manpower budgeting, talent management, people development, employee engagement, and various other facets of HR. Also looking after employer branding piece and CSR as an external and internal initiatives and creating great place to work. Welcome to the show, Anupam Singh.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Premraj. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. The second person we have is Supriya Kabra, who helps organizations enhance their work experience and create a system and culture which is growth oriented. She helps individuals with a unique training programs on leadership, role effectiveness, entrepreneurship, and soft skill and behavioral skills with highly interactive and experience creating workshops. A signature program is HR for non-HR to empower non-HR leaders for effective team management and smooth leadership journey. She's a director of Cosmic Consultants and founder of Entrance Co. She is MPM, PGDEM and certified trainer from ISTD with more than 13 plus experience in HR, organizational development, employee engagement, and the training industry. She's helped more than 100 organizations and thousands of professionals through her innovative and simplified techniques. Some of the awards and recognitions that she has been bestowed are the Best Business Consultant 2019, Innovative HR Practices Award at National Level 2019, Leading HR Practices Award 2020, finalist for Surakshit Nari by Maheshwari Mandal, Mumbai, recognized as a COVID warrior by the Lions Club, and recognized as Iconic Woman 2021 by Indian Women's Club. Welcome to the show, Supriya.
Thank you so much, Premraj. I'm so happy and honored to be at this platform. Thank you so much.
It's a privilege to have you, Supriya. The third person we have is Shikha Gupta, who is an HR leader with 17 years of rich and diverse work experience in the areas of talent acquisition, that's campus, lateral, and leadership, HR generalist, learning and development, organizational development, employee engagement, and HR business partner functions. She has been instrumental in developing, leading, and streamlining the HR and recruitment functions with a proven ability to enhance operational effectiveness and meet organization level goals within the cost, time, and quality parameters. Shikha is currently working as head talent acquisition at Winwire Technologies, Bangalore. She is primarily responsible for attracting talent across levels and geographies. That's India and the United States. She is part of leadership team at Winwire and is involved in multiple organization-wide strategic initiatives. Prior to that, she has been part of both product and IT service organizations like Wipro, On Mobile Global Limited, Tally India, Oracle, and NIIT, where she has been strategically involved in their growth and success while leading different HR functions across geographies. She is currently serving as the president of Karnataka Human Resources Council at WICCI. She is also the head talent hub with Women in Tech India chapter. She is associated with Sahi College as corporate mentor. She is also associated with Educa Unite of Scholars as a luminary speaker. She is a gold member at the Global Trainer Academy. She is also an executive member at the Global Educational Organization. She's associated with NGOs and involved in multiple other social services and CR initiatives. She's been a globetrotter since childhood and has traveled across the world, learning and exploring about different people, cultures, lifestyles, which add to a rich experience and a liberal, progressive outlook towards life. She believes life is not meant to be lived in one place. Welcome to the show, Shikha.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this very generous introduction. And thank you for the opportunity of being with Bloom, getting to know new people, sharing and learning experiences. Thank you again.
Yeah. And all three panelists, welcome to the show.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So let's dive deep into the session. According to Gallup, the journey of an employee can be bracketed into 7 stages: attract, hire, onboard, engage, perform, develop, and depart. Would like each of the panelists to give their perspective on 2 of the segments. Let's start with Shikha, with attract and hire.
Okay. That's the most important part, right? Talent acquisition or recruitment or whatever you might want to call it, I think are the ambassadors of any organization. They are the first touch points for the external world, whether you are interacting with a candidate or with a vendor or with a partner, right? You are the ones who are representing an org and hiring talent. Now, as far as talent acquisition is concerned, if you ask me, we as HR folks had never conceptualized the fact that, recruitment can happen from home. But it is happening, right? With COVID being around for 16, 17, 18 months, from in-person hiring, everything has moved to online, virtual interviews, virtual hiring, and virtual onboarding. As far as I am concerned, this is the main building block of any organization, right? What kind of people do you hire in terms of skill sets, competencies, behavioral traits, right? Form the building blocks of an organization. In my view, you can actually fix aptitude. You can upskill, cross-skill, mentor the person, guide. But if you hire people with a bad attitude, it's like a flat tire, right? You cannot go anywhere with it. So hiring is a key block in the entire HR value chain. You get the right people in, you build the right organization. That's how I would call it. And today's hiring has become challenging. Of course, technology has been an enabler and will always be. But the personal connect or the human connect that was there while we were hiring from our respective offices, I think somewhere has gone missing. And in the industry, 2020 and 2021 are the years where you have the highest number of offer declines or no-shows, right, that each organization is presented with, right? Everybody has a very different metrics. Because I think somewhere technology has been an enabler, but the human touch did wonders, right? While all of us were at work. That would be a little from my side.
Thanks for sharing your perspective. Yes, attract and hire is the first step wherein an employee gets a feel of the organization, and how that is done carries a lot of weight. Now, Anupam, can we come to you with the next part, that's onboard and engage? What's your perspective on it?
Yeah, adding to Shikha itself, onboarding actually plays a very important role, as being the last mile connectivity in talent management strategy. As an organization or as an HRBP role, or you can say on a role of such where we are responsible for hiring a so kind of a genuine workforce, we can do all the right things to attract the best talent. But if we are not able to integrate them within the organization, the chance for the new employee to get disillusioned, disengaged, and eventually it leaves a big becomes high attrition rate. And a great onboarding program should be able to help integrate a new employee in a seamless manner. Thereby they could help them to become a productive for the organization faster than anyone else. And similarly, nowadays, as Shikha mentioned, companies have shifted their entire processes from traditional, for achieving better engagement and greater productivity with a new age, intuitive, I could say, HR tech solution. There are various tech solutions that have been implanted or, adopted by the organizations at that level. So the two major statements, the who and where. Like if I'm a new person, a new intern in the organization, the basic two question marks I have in my mind, like who is the responsible, who is the right person, and where I have to be appointed or deployed. They are the major keystones, for any employee orientation, and they are most commonly the first interaction that new candidate will have with their colleagues. So I could say with the increased popularity and relevance of this social media or this website such as LinkedIn, the who of the equation has never been a more dominant question. And similarly, the where is the biggest challenge, where corporate like we are having the moment where we can feel okay, there is still a need for a professional for face-to-face onboarding processes. This could be my overtake on this, Prem.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your perspective on this onboard and engage. That's very, very critical. And you mentioned about the attrition part in case the onboarding and the engagement concept is not there for attrition. You can see attrition, and yes, statistics also prove that. Because I was reading somewhere on people who quit, 32% of people who quit in the first 90 days mention about this concept about the organization not having taken care of. Now we have seen attract, we have seen how to hire, we have seen the onboarding and the engagement of employees. Now let's move to the next step. And Supriya will tell us upon how we can get employees to perform and develop their career. Supriya.
Yes, Premraj. So now that Shikha and Anupam has raised some very, very critical point, and you have also given the statistics to it. But my question to the room today is, when will a bulb light? If you want a bulb to light up, when will that happen?
And the switch is switched on.
Yeah, switch on and switch off, correct. But when will that switch on will work? Only when the correct wiring is set, correct? When that plus and minus comes together and it is a correct, correct electrical connection which happens, only then your bulb will light up. So if we take this entire process into performance and development, as Anupam was already mentioning about the attrition, most of the people also, like I was reading a couple of researches, and they say that you do not get their performance productivity higher up, and many people complain from about 20 to 22% of non-productivity. Reason is they don't feel engaged to the organization's mission, vision, value, way of working. Sometimes they feel that the top management is just giving an instruction and we really don't know where it is coming from and what is going to be the outcome if I work onto it, where it is going to, what is going to happen to this. Say if example, to take up a production company, okay, so if I'm producing a nut, I need to know that this nut is going to be fixed into what product, right, and what will happen next. Only then I start taking that ownership of my performance, my product, correct. And then secondly comes this, we all will agree to this, that many people when in the exit interview will say I'm leaving for a growth reason, I don't see I have a growth here. Okay, so being a consultant myself, I usually ask this question to the entrepreneurs, to the interviewers: what is the career plan for this ex candidate 2 years down the line? minimum of the employee life cycle or the retention ratio is of 2 years. I'm sure both the corporate HRs with me will agree, right? An average has come to 2 years, 2.5 years max. After that, you have to be ready that now we may have a rainfall of resignations. So one of the reason I feel is this needs to be joined together so that their bulk, their ideas get triggered, and then give them a developmental plan so that they retain with you and they feel like working with your organization. What I feel is about.
So now we have seen we have the employee on board. We have taken him through these stages. Now let's talk about some aspect of employment. And this is about, let's talk about child care leave. Previously, our maternity leave we used to have about 3 months. Some time ago, it got increased to 6 months. There are some countries like I think Finland gives 2 years of maternity leave. Here, when the 6 months was introduced, there was a lot of hue and cry stating that organizations will now not employ too many females. But when you look at statistics, that is not right. So, from Anupam, let us hear your views on maternity leave.
See, what I've observed here in manufacturing industry, not specifically manufacturing and IT domain itself. Once you get involved into HR processes, you came to know so many IR or ER related activities, which is connected with the blue collar or white collar employees. Similarly, you have to take care of all those, wellness programs and everything, considering your female employees too. So the topic or the matter which we have raised here, the maternity leave. So I could say, see, maternity leave in India have been reformed completely, considering the current scenario where women are more dominantly part of any work setup. And there are some changes under the law where the paid maternity leave in India, increased from, as you mentioned, 12 weeks to 26 weeks for a working woman. So there are a lot of apprehensions and dilemmas, have led to many working women employee losing out their, insightful shares, or, some employees in terms of considering women specifically have, even quit their jobs because of the critical health conditions, because they are quite not aware about the full strength of this particular law. And similarly, as I mentioned to you, this particular amendment bill, which we call 2017, brought a lot of necessary amendments in the act. And government too supports this maternity leave very strongly. A woman now can avail all the significant benefits and have a well informed decision, on her pregnancy or maternity concerns. So I could say the maternity leave is to be adopted by all the employers. Not those are not engaged with this ESI, already, which is another a self-insured policy. And this mandate is set. Okay, so I was just highlighting some of the views, Prem, that as an HR, what things we need to incorporate during this time. As an HR, we have to draft a detailed policy, for all the essential documents to be maintained. And similarly, there should be a revised amendment those that government has introduced for the regulation purpose that has to be make aware for every woman across organizational level, and the provision should be take for employee to work from home for women employees.
Thank you. Thank you for your perspective. Now, Shikha, can we talk about paternity leave?
Maternity leave, which is so very important for the woman, right, who's bringing a new person into this world, newborn baby, right? It's equally important for the father also to take time off, right? Now, different organizations, not that his role is less important, it's just that he's not carrying the child, right? The laws of the nature are very different, but not that the father doesn't have a responsibility or doesn't want to take care of the baby. Now, different organizations have very different policies. I was reading somewhere a couple of days back that according to a Times job survey, right? A Times survey, it said 75% of the men have across the country, across corporates have complaints about the paternity leave policy. Somewhere in some other article a few days back, Times of India did a survey to say, India is amongst those 90 countries that do not have a paternity leave policy across many corporates. So I think, in my view, it is equally important that the father should enjoy the fatherhood, right? Some of the organizations have adopted a minimum of 5 days, where others have said 14 days. Some of them have said 1 month, but it varies. The importance by the law and the importance by each corporate has to be re-emphasized. That would be my take on it. and it would also benefit, women in getting in settling down and settling down after childbirth, sorry, and also help women in getting back to work, because there is a paternity leave policy. The father is equally supporting the family, the newborn and stuff like that. Then yes, corporates have still a little bit of very narrow-mindedness around the paternity leave policy. There is a lot of work we as HR folks need to do in terms of being influencers to the leadership or to the management to incorporate people practices, right? The feel good factor, the connect thing that Supriya talked about, right? When do you feel good about an organization? When do you feel connected? When you feel, when you are, the time when you're valued, right? This is your moment of joy, right? And each and every corporate, by giving a few days off, you wouldn't lose much. It's just that the bonding with the employee by having employee friendly policies goes a long way. I think that would be my take. And there's a lot of work required by all of us on that.
Yes, there's a lot of work required because the number of days also that most of the corporates give are not too much. So that also needs to have a look in so that the father also gets the more time to bond with the family.
Experience is concerned, I have seen a week, I have seen 2 weeks off, I have seen a month off across different organizations, but nothing beats maternity, right?
True.
Time. Which,
We need to look at countries and the Scandinavian countries as to what they give because they are the ones who are very, very liberal and they really take care of their families.
I think globally, if I remember correctly, South Korea tops the charts.
South
The,
Korea.
South Korea, yeah, and they have beautiful policies designed around paternity. I think we need to learn some best practices from the global workforce
We need to.
and also help curb attrition.
Yeah. So after looking at maternity and paternity leave, let us now look at leave on adoption of a child. Supriya, want to talk about that?
Brilliant. Why not? Because I completely agree to what Anupam and Shikha was completely trying to make a point that an employee friendly policy to add to that and to take it to the adoption on child. If I talk about our country now, it is getting quite open about adoption, but there are still many myths, many talks, many vows about it, and we really need to support all that the person right now needs, that couple needs is support, a mental support where if we can create, we as HR, the two beautiful corporate HRs are saying the same thing, that if we HR step forward and create a celebrating policies, a celebrating culture, where if an adoption happens, we are actually celebrating and supporting in a way. So maybe if a company can actually do that, while doing an adoption, even the government wants you to go through some set of counseling, okay, which is like quite structured. If a couple needs additional counseling or additional any support, and if the company can step forward and give such kind of support to the upgoing parents who are adopting parents, I'm sure the parents are not only going to be high on performance, but retention and the cultural wise, GPTW or any such company will come to them. Okay, why don't you register your company to us and get this prestigious award, right? So I think celebration, that kind of culture is more important in organizations when somebody is going out of the box to help themselves.
It's a nice thought, great thought.
That's very good, Supriya.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Let's hope the corporates hear what is being talked about and they really celebrate this event.
Indeed.
See, in the life cycle of an employee, not everything is hunky-dory. There will be moments wherein he or she will be down. So let's now talk about grief. And when we talk about grief, especially with COVID and other things, we see a lot of people losing their jobs. So what is your opinion, Shikha, on loss of job? What handholding should the corporates do when a person or someone in the family loses his or her job?
Premraj, this is a topic which is so close to my heart, and I think every HR will feel the same, right? Whether you are in the talent acquisition shoes or a business partner HR or any kind of HR role, the number of people losing jobs, especially with COVID, right? Whether it's a campus hire where the offer is being revoked, or it's a lateral hire who's become redundant in the system, right? Or it is some other hire, who did not upskill or cross skill himself, but the project has come to an end, or whether it is downsizing, optimization, everybody has lost their jobs. I think the main thing, or the only thing that we need to do as HR folks, or even as human beings, right, just motivate the person. It could be a bad day, but it's not a bad life, right? In my mind, a lot of hand holding in terms of emotional support, right? What the person should think about now, that, oh, I don't have a job, how do I feed my family, how do I run my expenses? It's over. You have lost your job. That chapter is over. What is it that you need to do now? You have to move on. So, what are those 2, 3, 4, 5 things that you need to do? Point number one, maybe you should start building up your resume again in such a manner that you showcase yourself as a multi talented or a multifaceted person, so that you're open to more job opportunities. Secondly, I think the person should network. If somebody is not active on social media platforms, right? LinkedIn is a great tool. Network with people, right? Like-minded people, right? And don't network because you need a job. Network because you're networking for success. It could lead to many career options. Third is, I think employees or whoever is in this space should participate in different either seminars or conferences where you get to again network with people. I think that is what one needs to do. Both as HR, empathy, right? We can do it in a nice manner. People are cutthroat. It is a management decision. It is the HR head's decision. It is the leadership's decision. No, you don't have to be cutthroat. Just because you have your job and somebody doesn't have his, doesn't mean he's hopeless, he's ruthless, he's skill-less, career-less, right? He has all, till about 24 hours back, the same guy was valuable, was getting you billing, was getting you revenue. But today, if for some reason you don't need him, you have to show empathy. You cannot be cutthroat as HR folks saying that, oh, it's just a job for me. Tomorrow it could be me.
Yeah, true.
We all have to fight this together. Being human, motivating people, showing them the right direction as to what they should do as a next steps, rather than crying over spilt milk, is, I think, what one should do. Of course, the standard procedure of applying for new jobs over job portals, right? All of that. So networking, applying for new jobs, building up a resume, building your network for success, I think those are important, rather than going into depression, anxiety. And that is what is happening with people. Right? I mean, I'm sure Supriya and Anupam have also seen that. So very many people, Premraj, one on LinkedIn DMs, right? Direct messaging saying that, ma'am, can you help me? I've not had something to eat for the last 6 months. It's been that difficult. Right, ma'am, okay. So many posts going around. I don't have a job for 1 year, 2 years. So I have, Anupam is a part of that initiative with me. Both of us have joined a CSR digital campaign, which is called Support Saturdays, where we help, all the COVID struck people, or generally all the people who've lost their jobs, find opportunities.
That's nice. That's a great concept. Congratulations to both of you, and love that compassion that you all are showing towards our fellow human beings.
That's the least one can do. I mean, because it could be anyone tomorrow, right? Just because
Yes.
I have I have a job, I have some food on my table to eat. So I'm not somebody who I should be showing arrogance.
Yeah.
Just be human, right? Help me, help you, help each other, help the society. How do you create a better world? That's how you do it. I mean, it's not, it's like, people say, Premraj, culture HR ka kaam hai. No, culture at any organization is everybody's
All
job.
encompassing.
Yes, it is not Anupam's, Supriya's, or Shikha's job. We define the culture of our organization, how we want to treat employees, especially in these difficult times. Can you
Well put,
refer?
Shikha. Well put.
So, yeah. I mean, you've touched a topic which is like so close to my heart. So all the emotions are kind of pouring out. But yeah,
I'm happy I touched that chord.
Happy to answer.
Thank you.
Thank
And now,
you.
Supriya, talking on the other side of grief, there's a lot of grief when an employee gets divorced or separated. So, as an HR professional, what is it that we can do to ensure that some of the misery is mitigated?
Now this goes to the another emotional chord, which maybe most of the HRs or most of the people have seen. So I'll share some very personal example of uh, one of my relatives and one of my friends too. When they went through this divorce and separation for any X reason, okay, sometimes two people do not make a good marriage, they can be two good individuals, okay. And because she was a girl, and we are talking of a 21st century, and Anupam was just saying that, most of the areas have been dominated by HRs or, sorry, by the women, and they are leading and whatnot. But this girl had to go through a lot of trauma in office. Forget about the society, forget about the personal functions, forget about the family. Lot of trauma in the office when people's favorite gossiping point was she. And then people was like, किसी का कुछ होगा. Why pointing out someone, why being judgmental when you really don't know what has happened to the other side? Instead, as I was making that previous point in your previous question, similarly, I want that, and as Shika rightly said, so I think that's something is required, as she correctly said, that we just initiate the culture. We can set up that first stepping stone. But then sustaining is in everyone's hand. When somebody else is doing something wrong, and if you're silent and if you're not stopping that person not to do that, okay, that means you're supporting in a way. Silence is also support. So we can at least tell them, ki, dude, don't, pass a comment on someone. Instead, she may need a help. And I have seen in my career that Premraj, we had to arrange for a counselor for such couples who are going through a real match phase, and people in society are already being judgmental. So we have to arrange for a counselor, convince that fellow that please go through a counseling session. You really need one before you go to a depression stage and take some adverse steps. So again, the same point that how are we sustaining the culture? That cultural check is very, very important, and you should view it very strictly when your peers, colleagues are really doing something which is not required. Yeah,
A lot of
that's my
empathy
take.
and compassion is required here.
Exactly, as Shikha was correctly mentioning, this is when she strike that correct chord, that empathy, and especially after last year, we all had enough, more than enough, and I think super duper enough is yet to come.
Yep, that's a sad
Okay.
part.
So we all need to really be very, very empathetic and compassionate. And if we cannot be that, at least be non-judgmental.
Yeah, we should not be
Because
judgmental.
what goes around comes around. So
Exactly.
someone can also judge you if you are doing the same thing.
Now let's come to another aspect of grief. Last 1.5 years has been very bad, and with COVID striking back with a vengeance, with the second and third waves that we're talking about, we have seen a lot of deaths. When death happens in the family of an employee, how is it that as an employer we should treat grief?
I could say, Premraj, I've been with this fraternity from a decade, and I have never seen such a new, I could say, revamped policies when we talk about more that our employees are, our most important assets, and their well-being is our first topmost priority. Well explained by Shikha. We both are connected with an initiative which is a ICSR model, which talks more about posting their resume of the people those have lost their job during this COVID situation. And yes, there are some I could say candidate those have lost their family members. The DM specifically we have received, they mentioned clearly we have lost this that person, and we do not have any single one person to be the source of income. I am the person who witnessed the topmost policies, which actually going beyond the circuit or of it at or organizational level, to support all the employees, I could say. So all over, it's like laying down a very clear. Usually, companies don't have, but we are in a process to introduce this bereavement leave policy, which talks more about sense to Indian context, where there are a lot of rituals, religious practices, and formalities to deal with, in addition to coping with the loss of the person. So this policy is a paid policy, which we provide to and applicable to people who are on probation as well. So they could not suffer much. And apart from this policy, it's a big part of paid time benefit also, So there are some companies, who also offering some counseling services to their employees to deal with this mental, emotional well-being. So we have introduced some of the EAPs also, but we are in a process to get have them at across the plant level also, wherein we have this workforce. Those are working on assembly lines. Those are familiar with the regional languages. Those were not aware about this English specifically. So we are moving on that processes, and we have to ensure that these bereaved employees are given flexi timing for work from home options to at least they can deal up with their mental thought process what they have been dealing with. At least we should not have that one manager all the time who has been teaching up all the exercises. And yes, I could say there are measures which we ensure for a long term financial stability that employees and their families we took about. We have announced several benefits. Those are employees losing life due to COVID-19. They'll receive salaries for the next few years. I don't want to be very specific for this thing, in addition to their other benefits. And yes, we announced the education of the children also, for such employees will be borne by the company until graduation level in India only. So these are few benefits wherein we can support the family as much as we can as an employer. And we have offered insurance cover also, which we call COVID coverage. In some of the organization they have numerous names accordingly, so to cover the medical demise of an employee, and how we can support as an organization to the employees up to the par level in case of demise. Yeah.
We just wanted to tell you, we at Bloom also offer emotional support to these people. We will share some of the details with you later on. And there is a link that Payal has just put it on the chat. So we'll share more details in case you all come across some employees who need something. If Bloom can help you in any way, please reach out to us. And as far as this grief is concerned on death of an employee, a lot of corporates are doing a lot of things, but we don't know what's happening at the lower lung corporates, whether they have the financial muscle to take care of employees, or whether the families of these employees go by the wayside. That's a sad, sobering thought that I'm leaving you with. Now let's move on to some other topics, some general topics that we can talk about in employee engagement. And Supriya, I want you to talk about the gig employees.
So, couple of bigger corporates, and as you were correctly mentioning, I don't want to pinpoint the smaller corporates and put them to a spotlight. They have their own challenges for not able to support to everyone however they want to. Okay. Similarly, when it comes to gig workers, so recently I was working on an employee engagement assignment for one of the bigger corporates. And then literally the level of engagement activities that they wanted and the technical challenges that they could have had at a workers level, okay, and specifically the gig workers. I had a real hard time to convince them that this time we will have to skip this gig workers and not, or take them into this employee because it will involve smartphones at least. Some sessions they were insisting ki out of office hours hi hone chahiye, we can't help it. I was like, how will I manage without a smartphone? And then they could so brilliantly take out a win-win situation. They had invested in a complete setup of projector screen. They had already one and another setup only to ensure that the gig workers are involved in engagement, for the only reason that even they are working for an organization, they're also putting their 100%, 200% to build our organization and to do whatever. And if we feel that this person, we should see this person time and again in our organization to work, when we talk about gig workers, the turnaround ratio is too high. Okay, but if you want to retain them and if you want to bring out their more productivity, you have to extend some basic level facilities at least to them, so that they also feel the connection with the principal employer, right? Because like the compliance says that if the contractor is not doing anything, it is the responsibility of the principal employer. Similarly, their performance, productivity, responsibility should also be with principal employer. So many corporates are now stepping ahead. Even in this time when people are talking of rolling capital issues and whatnot, they're still stepping ahead, spending that extra penny to engage these gig workers. And I think that's a brilliant way. In a smaller capacity, at least every company should do for everyone who is contributing to that organization in any which ways.
Good thoughts. Good thoughts on that. And this is a system that was prevalent in the West for a long time, and now it's coming to India. So let's see how it goes forward.
It is. It is.
And we have been talking about COVID. With COVID, work from home has been a concept that got introduced. Now with the opening up, there is going to be hybrid model of working. And when we talk about a hybrid model of working, Anupam, do you feel the employer should give a choice to the employee as to pick up their days when they would come to work?
I could say what I could say, most of the definitely gonna be say I could say yes, or most of it in a diplomatic way. But see, there is a logic behind this. What I supposed to be mentioned now, as we all the shift towards work from home has already been on a various short-term benefits. Moving forward into the long term, it will be have deeper implications, right, for how jobs are defined and what is expected of the people to holding them. But as most of the states and the government start already to roll back COVID-19 restrictions, and companies and workers start to form up their office return plans, one point is becoming very clear: the future of working from home is hybrid. And it's very clear that as the economy reopens after COVID precautions, many organizations will be pursuing a hybrid future in which employees will be work from office some days and at home or another days, you could say. So while there are some managers we will be dealing with may be inclined to let employees choose their schedule, right?
Yeah.
So we as an HR, we strongly recommend not pursuing this approach for two reasons specifically. First is the challenging in managing a high. Okay, so I was talking about the major two reasons for not to pursuing this approach. First is managing the hybrid team, which can generate two groups actually. The one group which is in office and a group which is at home. And the second concern is the risk to diversity, right? So when we talk about the diversity, there are some current people, like those are single young men who could always choose to come to office all the 5 days a week and rocket up the firm. But while employees with the young children, particularly women who choose to work from home for several days, for each week, are held back. So there are some research those have been found that okay, work from home, or the employees that are working from the office, so they have a less promotion rate in terms of 21 months compared to their office colleagues. This is a general survey which have been conducted, and it shows 50% ratio lower rate. And similarly, the best solutions for managers to decide which days their team should work from home and which days everyone should be in the office. This is the best we can suggest to all the managers. For example, if the manager picks work from home on Wednesday and Friday, so everyone would come in on other days. So the only exception should be for new hires who should come in or for any extra days week, in a week for their first year in order to bond with new recruits. So this is the best we can recommend for the solutions.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. And then let's hope something like on these lines gets incorporated in our offices.
Yeah.
Now let's move to Shikha. Shikha, it has been noticed as per statistics and research that we don't find too many women in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics space, what is called as the STEM space. Why is it so? And what is it that we are doing to correct this anomaly of STEM and women?
Good. Okay. STEM careers. I think I was reading something around that because my Wiki Karnataka Human Resource Council wants to celebrate STEM International Day, which is next month. So according to that research, that article said 43% of the graduates in STEM careers are women, but then only 14% of that make it to the workforce. Now, 43 and 14, right? There's a big difference. So there's a very leaky pipeline. Now, what is happening in the process? I think two to three things. Even before I come to employment and women and STEM careers, I think it's all starts with upbringing and education. First, the right to education for a girl child. The mentality of the Indian parent that, my daughter has to study. The next step is what does she have to study? Okay, if she's a girl, let her do some languages, let her do HR, let her do no, engineering, BTech, mera beta karega. That is only for boys, right? The girl can do HR, she can do languages, she can become a trainer, she can, all of that. So it starts from there. First, the right to education. Second, she should be allowed or she should be inspired or motivated to explore different careers, engineering, science, technology, mathematics, and stuff like that. Once we fix that problem as HR, when we are hiring people, right, we have to create more spaces for them. And then where does the bulk hiring happen? It is at the campus level. So when we are hiring people from the campuses, right, you have to hire more girls, right? Not, to think that, oh, she will get married. She's just 22, 23, 24. She will get married. She will start a family. She will not continue. So attrition is very high. Could be not, but then you have to give an opportunity. So we have to create more spaces, right? More space for the woman in the workforce field, whether it is campus hiring or lateral hiring. Second, we should be willing to experiment hiring women in those not stereotype roles but different roles. Women being a data scientist, Shakuntala Devi being a mathematician, right? Why does it have to be a boy? Why is engineering so associated with the male gender? Even a girl can do a BTech, a woman can do a BTech. And in fact, that study said India ranked in the top 20 countries across the globe which has women CEOs. But again, out of that top 20% women CEOs, right, only 5% are in IT. And that answers it all. Just about 5%. Again, there is a huge gap. There is a leak of 15%. So I think right from education and HR hiring, all of us hiring for our respective organization, whether it is a leadership hiring, lateral hiring, or campus hiring, we have to experiment women with these roles, right, in the STEM field. Also, not only STEM, I think even in the night shift fields, right? Oh, a woman cannot do knock, she cannot become an operations engineer, she cannot do night shifts, she cannot do business development because she cannot travel 20 days a month. She cannot do campus hiring because you have to travel for 6 months in a row. So the ability to experiment that a woman can do everything, what a man can do. She can even deliver a child, right? Whether it's STEM or any other role which is outside the typical stereotype for a woman, corporates have to give that opportunity. HR folks have to give that opportunity. We should be experimental. I think only when we maintain an equilibrium, right, a balance between both the genders, can we hand in hand contribute to the success of our organizations. So yeah, that would be my take on this.
And
Premraj, can
adding,
you just
adding,
add?
addition to this, sorry to interrupt. Addition to this, I just would like to mention when we look at this IR model, we generally have this male-female ratio, right? How many we have to hire male and female across the region level. We generally have this 70 to 30. 30% at least we should have this female and rest of them could be male. I have witnessed this thing in auto industry. We across regional level at India level, we just had 4% female out of 100. That was very shocking. And we came to know, and then again we have revamped our entire plan to have the diversity across the team. If I talk about diversity, it means diversity in terms of the ratio of the females. It talks about more for the region, for the color, for the creed. This should not be the equation for the optional basis. This should be for the hiring. I mean, it starts the recruitment process to designing entire the plan of actions.
I think it starts with a mindset change
Yeah.
that women can do a lot of different careers, roles, which are way away from the stereotypes that we have in place, right? She can become an engineer, she can become a data scientist, she can become a mathematician. It's everything a woman can do. You have to give her the right platform, the right ecosystem, the right environment. Because anyway, 43% are graduating. Only 14% are reaching to the workforce. right? So somewhere we have to play that role in terms of enabling, and I think parents also play a big role.
Big role
How
in that.
much they push their respective daughters to explore these careers,
Yes,
to
yes.
make a place
That's
for
true.
them.
Very true.
In fact, just to one sentence, Shika, what you just spoke about, majorly the operators, Sandvik, the company Sandvik, I guess, their Pune plant have hired their first lady operator on machine. Okay,
That's something.
and that was such a viral news everywhere, and every man in the room, there's Sandvik, gave a small welcome kind of thing for that lady, and they clicked a picture that was in press, that was on entire social media, and they celebrated her welcome.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's breaking a glass ceiling.
absolutely breaking the glass ceiling. So the moment she spoke that even an operator in a night shift can be allowed, so here comes the Sandvik who has already break some old norms.
I think, what we can do, just the way a lot of organizations have this mandate, right? Offshore versus onshore mix for any project or
Mm.
delivery, stuff like that. 70/30, 80/20. I think even for gender, right? We should have that kind of mix that maybe, okay, 50%, 60% will be men, 40% it has to be women. All the corporates should come up with something like that
Better
in
that,
each
yeah.
area or each role that they have crafted within their organization. 40% we should hire women or 30% we should hire women. And women have to be comfortable taking up those roles.
Yeah.
But and
That's
that is back to the paternity point, right? If you
Yeah.
enable fathers to support mothers, even mothers can do a lot.
Yeah.
agreed. So,
Yeah.
Premraj, if you allow, I know the time is ticking, but Shika has triggered a very, very amazing point, and it is bringing so much of case studies that we have seen. So, one of the small, medium enterprises that I'm talking about now, they are into textiles and they manufacture threads. Okay, this lady is sitting in the Mumbai office, and she was the stereotype कि ये तो business development का back office संभाल लेगी. She'll put every man to work. She'll tell which call to attend, by whom, and stuff like that. And this lady was doing such a fab job. Sitting in Mumbai office, she had cracked deals pan India even without going to the client office. And
Amazing.
then who will bring the sample? Who will give that first demo? This is when she was using that field BDEs. Okay, boss, you know what? I have a client. Would you want to become my partner and go and show the demo? Okay. And then during COVID times, literally it was told to me as the HR of that organization, ki boss, do whatever. Ask this lady to train all the BDs. They are sitting right now anyway doing nothing.
Okay.
Let's utilize this time and let her train to all.
Good. Very good. Very good. Each one of you all, please give your perspective on deeper employee engagement. Let's start with you, Anupam.
Okay. See, for me, Prem, it's not about getting emotional connected with the organization. Now the engagement definition has been changed. Now it's employee experience. And what exactly I feel for my organization is the responsibility of employers now to take care of me as an individual, to take care of me as an asset of the organization. You know what? Now my question comes in my mind: why I supposed to be in your organization for a long term? What is that one thing which helps me to connect with you? This is the one take for me.
Thank you. So, Shikha?
For me, Premraj, it would be for engagement to be successful, you need smooth assimilation, which Supriya very well highlighted, because
Smooth
everything else
assimilation.
can happen virtually, right? If a new joiner, any new joiner or the set of people we are hiring get assimilated well into the organization, feel a sense of connectedness, belongingness, bonding, right? Engaging with them or employee engagement becomes easier because you
Yeah.
already have their mind share. So if you ask me, all of us have assimilation as a challenge at hand. Right? If we fix that, engagement becomes smoother.
Correct. So too much agreed with both my co-panelists, and to adding to this, so employee engagement is not about Holi and Diwali, guys. So get out of that fun activities and make it really an tool to so for simulation, or maybe for designing an activities where your policies, values, and whatever is ruled out on a daily basis, and you can use this as a wonderful tool to create that culture. And if it is about me, I will really want companies to become a non-judgmental culture, because after one age we do not find that much of time to go out and make friends, do enjoy your social life. It is most of that in your organization where you're spending most of your life, correct? So if
Yeah.
that becomes a space where you can socialize also, where you can have everything to enjoy your basic needs, companies will definitely become a much better place for everyone to live in.
Thank you. Thanks for that perspective. So to wind up, Anupam had, it has to be an employee experience. Shikha, you wanted greater assimilation of things to happen, and Supriya for gamification, or it should be a fun place to work with. So thank you very much for your perspective. It was fun talking to you all. We got a lot of insights from you all as to how to ensure that this employee engagement becomes an employee experience, so that our workplace will be a better place to work. Thank you for your time. And any closing comments, Payal?
Yeah, thank you so much, Shikha ji, Supriya ji, and Anupam ji for gracing Bloom platform. It was an honor and privilege to have you all. And I would take away assimilation of this entire 1 hour panel session. I would always say we will bloom productively in our organizations.
Thank you.
God bless you all.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for having
Thank you.
all of us here together, sharing ideas. It was great talking, and yeah, look forward to many such discussions. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so much. Yeah.
Premraj, Bloom, Payal and Deepak and the entire team for getting me these two beautiful co-panelists to, share the stage with. And congratulations, Shikha and Anupam, for the wonderful work that you have been doing, and all the best, and count us, all of us, in if we can, contribute in any which ways to help people in need.
Sure, Supriya, we will reach out to you. Thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to
Thank
Take
you.
care and stay safe.
Yeah. Thank you.